supposed to be for fine china. I'm more of a paper plate kind of guy, so I figured I'd fill it with stuff that inspired me, things that made me smile when I look at them. And one of the first things I ever got was a little taxidermy duck with 4 legs. It was actually a sideshow gaff built by Mark Frierson. He did some work with House of a Thousand Corpses, and he's a pretty well-known banner painter in the right circles. But it was, it just started growing and growing and growing, and now it's my whole apartment. It used to be one little cabinet, and now you can't walk into a room without seeing something cool. And I really enjoy it. I really like living in that kind of environment where every time I look at the wall, it's something that inspires me, something that makes me smile, something's got a story and history to it.
Right.
You're right. It's just the uniqueness of everything that's in your apartment. I mean, you better be cataloging this. I will come to your apartment and catalog it for you if you don't have it already cataloged.
I wish I would have started cataloging, 6-7 years ago, but I've done a horrible job of writing everything down. And like when something new pops up for sale, I have to literally walk around the house and make sure I already don't have one. I've already caught myself buying doubles of some things, so.
You have to get more serial killer and have like a spreadsheet of all these things so you can look it up real fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we want to go with like a serial killer to describe anything I'm doing, but thanks, Lauren. Note to self, do not call Lauren to be a star witness.
He was like Buffalo Bill.
Yeah.
Calvin, I know him. He's the one that keeps like a serial killer book under his bed of all the objects that he's collected.
I might have his card. Hold on. I might have his business card. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Hey, we've got his phone number. Give him a call.
Oh man. So you have this amazing collection of prostitute bones, and you have a live 2-headed turtles and some amazing things going on. And you're a skeptic as far as I believe paranormal goes, correct?
Absolutely. Now, I wasn't always a skeptic. I grew up a good Catholic boy with a firm fear of the devil and, the eternal war for my soul. But as I got older and I started getting around this stuff more and more, it really started solidifying the fact that I do think a lot of this is just a product of the imagination. When I first started collecting things related to the occult and the paranormal, I really wanted to see my walls bleed. I wanted to see that, objects flying off of shelves and smell weird smells and get touched while I'm walking through a hallway, but none of that has ever happened.
Interesting.
And you figure if any place on the planet was going to be haunted, it would definitely be mine.
You would think that because of some of the objects that you have. And I wonder, have you ever been approached by any psychics or mediums or anything like that? Is there something beyond it that maybe that you could potentially experience paranormal, but there's something about you that blocks those experiences?
I meet more psychics just walking around than any other person I've ever met. I was getting a pedicure one time, last time I was down in Baltimore, and the woman cutting my nails actually started telling me about a spirit who was standing next to me. And, of course, me being the skeptic, I was like, "Ooh, tell me more," And she clammed up. She could tell that I wasn't having any of it. But I did meet a very nice woman. I was tattooing her son, and she came in, and I had done a tattoo on him recently of an angel. And she thanked me for it. She says, "Hey, thank you so much. My son got that tattoo, in my honor, and it means a lot to both of us. You did a great job on it." I go, "All right, no problem. I always try to do a good job, but it means a lot to me that it meant a lot to you." And she goes, "Well, it means a lot to me because I'm actually a medium." And I go, "Oh, come on in, have a seat. I'm actually a skeptic. Let's talk." And one of the things that she said to me was the reason why I don't experience the paranormal is because I have an army of angels looking out for me in heaven. I am not making this story up. This is what she tells me. She says, I'm so well thought of in heaven that I kind of have like this bubble of protection around me, and spirits are afraid to make contact. So here we go. We've got the skeptical atheist who's one of heaven's prodigal sons, which is always kind of funny to me.
Oh, man. I want some of that. That's what I want.
Oh, no, that's like what I get. I have mediums who are like, "Oh, no, I can tell you're sensitive or you're intuitive," or however they want to say it. And then I go, "Well, okay, well, tell me anything else," and they clam up. As if Satan is behind me, going like putting the finger to the throat, going, "Shut up, don't say a word."
or they just really don't know, and now you put them on the spot, one or the other.
And that's just I know there's a lot of skeptics out there that do not get along with people in the paranormal community at all. They're very confrontational. They're very aggressive. And that's just going to put up walls. You're not going to get invited if you're, immediately throwing people under the bus.
Right.
And I really do want to give myself every chance possible to experience some paranormal. You're not going to see Bigfoot sitting on your couch. You're going to have to get up and go in the woods and look for him. I'm not going to see a ghost or talk to the other side unless I'm going out and I'm paying the admission to go into these haunted places and travel the world and check these places out for myself. I'm not going to be able to hear from dead loved ones, if it is a possibility, unless I talk to the psychics and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure it's never going to happen, but I do have to give myself that opportunity to experience it. And by calling them all frauds and calling them names and starting fights with them, it's never going to happen.
Right, exactly. And that's
at least you're open to it. I mean, you're what's a skeptic believer?
Yeah.
Essentially.
Well, I think the ultimate goal of any skeptic is to be proven wrong. I mean, that's really what I want. I want people in the paranormal community to step up and present the evidence that's going to shut me up. I would love to experience something haunted. Like I said, my walls are ready to bleed anytime a spirit wants to show up and make it happen.
Bring it. You're going to go home to a vortex in your apartment because of all this stuff.
I feel like an episode of Psych.
But I want to touch on something because obviously you sit on the board of the Talking Board Historical Society, as a skeptic, admittedly. But I just want to sort of touch on something because we just had a big event here in Salem, Mass. That we hosted called Salem Con. And we so badly wanted to have Bob involved, but he was traveling on a different event, which was fine. But this gentleman, Tim Weisberg, brought along a Ouija board for the ghost hunt, which we had several locations. Now, obviously, Salem, Mass. Has that reputation for, witch city, incredibly haunted, anything you want to think of happens there. So during one of these sessions of the ghost hunt, they were using the Ouija board. And they had made contact with a spirit. I don't remember at that time what they said the spirit had brought the message through to them, or what they believed was the spirit anyway. And then somebody asked a question somewhere along the lines of, "Are you my grandfather?" Believing that it had a connection to them. Now, when they said this, almost immediately afterwards, the table that the Ouija board was on, which was fairly well lit and good sight, with people on, I believe, two or three sides of it. Yeah. The table was moved, like something impacted it and moved it a good, 4, 5, 6 inches, enough that it startled everybody. And they started looking around, and there was nobody possible who could have made contact with the table. Now, as a skeptic, obviously, the first thing you think of, somebody had to have, bumped it with their foot or whatever. Do you believe, or do you open your mind up enough to believe that that was a spirit making communication, or perhaps maybe somebody's own psychic ability or psychokinesis happening that caused the table to move? What would your theories be along that, first of all? Do you have, not to put you on the spot or anything?
No. I like I said, even when I was talking to you today, man, anything is able to be talked about. I always try to approach everything with an honest and respectful point of view. I think any time that there's always going to be a story, that's anecdotal evidence, is never, ever, ever going to change the face of anything. Right. You always need video proof, anything like that. And in a room full of people, how many people were there? I mean, you're talking, easily 100, right?
Oh, well, no, that was like 10 people. I think.
Yeah, for this portion of it, no, it was probably like 10 to 15 people for this one. Yeah. We split the groups into 4, so...
Yeah, who's able to say that? Like, I would have to be there to see the situation. And again, that's why I go to these events. Yeah. I would love to be the guy who was sitting at the back of the room and all of a sudden I see this table move on its own. But there's so many things, especially with Ouija boards, that are caused by human contact where we're not suspecting it. Pendulums, dowsing rods, planchettes. That game, light as a feather, stiff as a board. That's one of the easiest ways to see that ideomotor effect happen. It's your mind expecting a result and your body making it happen. these girls that are holding the friend up at the sleeping party, at the slumber party, they don't realize they're really lifting her because they really think that they're not applying any force, but their body's making this reaction happen because their brain is expecting it to. I think the brain in itself is a very, very amazing thing that we're not even close to fully understanding yet. Think of all the psychological disorders that we see. Anorexia nervosa. You have this beautiful girl who looks in the mirror and sees herself as fat and starves herself. To her mind, that's her reality. Again, people who think that they can communicate with spirits, when they tell you that they're talking to dead people, they're not lying to you. They're not making up this story with the motivation to produce a story. They're telling you how they really dictate their own reality. To them, talking to dead people is just as simple as, text messaging a friend. Do I think they're really doing it? No. But do I think they're liars? No, I don't think they're lying. To me, a lie is something that's made up to purposely deceive someone. To them, they're telling you the truth. That's how they really view reality.
Right. And what's happening, they fully and firmly believe in what's happening. And I am on that boat. I'm sailing with you, and I completely understand what you're saying, and I firmly believe that as well. It was interesting.
I'll never, ever be able to give you a firm grasp of what happened through an anecdotal story. It's not going to happen. I hear constant anecdotal stories where people are like, well, tell me what happened. I go, I wasn't there, man. I can't tell you, But in situations where you're having a seance or you have a Ouija board and you have 10 people who believe in the paranormal and adore it and they focus so much of their life around it, they're looking for a result or anything to say that's proof of the other side. The fire alarm would have gone off at that time, and oh man, the ghost made the fire alarm go off. Well, fire alarm just malfunctioned. A lot of things like that are just timing. Are some of them severely ironic timing that can make you raise an eyebrow? Of course, but I think that's life in general.
Yeah, that was, and what you said just completely hit a nail or hit a nerve for me there, because one of the times we were during this event, I can't remember what we were doing. We'd asked for, some sort of a validation and said, hey, can you make a noise for us? And there was a large bang from above us. However, there were people upstairs too, so we knew that there were people up there. So at first everybody was like, holy crap. Then we all went, oh, wait a second, there's people up there. So as you say, in coincidence, we take it as, at first everyone's reaction was paranormal, something just happened, and then you go, wait a second. Yeah.
Kind of like
people up there.
Yeah, when we were at Remember Salem with John Staffis and Brian Cano, and
oh my
someone says, can you make a noise for me? Can you bang on something? And like 10 seconds later, you hear a banging on the door, and it's Mark outside trying to get in from the street.
Yeah,
but we were all dying laughing, and Staffis is like, it's a good thing we're all up on our game.
It was perfect timing, because I had no idea what they were doing, but they had taken a little too long with what they were doing. So I'm outside, locked out on the street, and all I know is I'm banging on the door. But when you listen to the audio back, they literally had just said, can you bang on something? And then you hear me pounding on the door, and you hear everybody react.
Laughing. We're all laughing.
So, are you guys familiar with the Mark Twain House and Museum in Hartford?
Yes, very familiar.
I just wrapped up a 3-month exhibit that I had there, and I had some of my spirit communication devices on display. But before that, I went there just as a fan, and I did one of the they do a candlelight ghost tour. Fantastic ghost tour with so much history, beautiful setting. The lights are down low. It kind of simulates what it would look like under gaslight back in the day. Well, we're walking around the house, and we get to one of the rooms where they said that a lot of the children may have been involved in, and they had this beautiful hand-carved bed they call the angel bed. And as the tour guide is going over this, she says that they believe one of the children might have died in this angel bed. She paused for just a brief second, and at that brief second, there was a loud buzz that went through the house. Now, for the ghost tours, there's 2 tour guides, there's a small group of people, and they lock the door behind you. The Mark Twain House Museum is not in a great neighborhood, so they definitely do their best to secure it as much as possible. So once everybody's in, they lock the door behind you. There was nobody else in that building but us. but there was that loud thud. Perfectly timed right when that poor girl took a breather. And she was fairly new to it, but she was